Tory Lanez trial today. I was there to support Meg, the Stallion. Several reasons. One, because, this is a woman who definitely was shot. One thing is for sure, that of all that we're hearing and all the things that has been said and the back and forth over the who, what, when, where, the hows, the ups and downs of all the issues, no one, to be clear, and I've been saying this since the beginning, hey Butter, no one, not one person is disputing that she was actually shot. So, and I've been saying that since the beginning, that for me, that was the thing that really kind of compelled me to listen more and to try to understand what took place. And to just, I was seeing so much vitriol. Yeah, y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm tired now. In this situation, and I was compelled to learn more and to understand more when I kind of figured out that, there were people who were saying that she wasn't shot, and I wasn't clear as to why. And then, of course, once I started to get closer to it, I learned that she initially lied and said that she stepped on glass, and then, vitriol, exactly, thank you. And that she later on told the truth about what happened. And a lot of it for me in the beginning, when I was, when I first got involved, a big part of it was that I read the court documents and I knew she was shot. So I was trying to understand where was their confusion about that one particular point. Is, why were people saying she wasn't shot? I see somebody over here already talking about us being biased for me to say she was shot. She was shot. Again, not even the defense attorneys are saying that she wasn't shot. And once I read the court documents, I figured it out. I understood clearly what took place. She lied when she went to, when she was initially questioned about what happened. Because there was all of this back and forth, which some of these doctors, by the way, have. I understand your point, and I'll go back to that Love Jonesy, that she didn't seem injured, but she was. Like, there's no question about it. There's no question. It's not like the defense attorney is trying to say, well, you don't really, you don't really know if you were shot. He kind of alluded to that one time later, in this area of it, but it wasn't significant. There's no significant portion of this. In fact, there is absolutely no objection to her being shot. In fact, the defense attorney asked her several times, who shot you, when you were shot? I mean, he's referring to it. So there is no question at all whatsoever of whether or not she was shot, and that's just the bottom line. So, and I think one, just trying to protect the black man, but I think it's also protecting everything, the whole situation. I heard, her talk today about, already knowing that the situation was ugly, it wasn't a good thing, and oftentimes I know with us as women, and maybe men have this situation as well, but you don't really want to get into, especially when you are, when you have a public persona, public profile. People do not want to say, oh, I had this fight or this happened or whatever. People don't really want to talk about that. They don't really want to do it. So she lied. That's just the bottom line. Just like I will sit here and say 100% that she, was shot. It's also 100% sure that there's been at least 2 incidents in the situation where she has lied. Now, going back to my, point about this whole thing is what was originally perplexing to me was looking at the court documents. It was very clear to me that she had been shot. So I was trying to understand why was it confusion other than, okay, we know she lied and then she said she was shot. And I was trying to figure it out. And then I understood from especially some of these lawyers that are journalists and lawyers at the same time, that it is in the same legal documents or the reporting that comes out from the hospital and the police. There's a portion that says that she had glass in her foot, or that she stepped on glass, But then later what takes place is that the surgeon comes in. The surgeon looks at her and examines her feet and knows that it's bullet fragments. And at the point that the surgeon knows that there is bullet fragments, the question of whether or not she stepped in glass and all of that is over. There's no more that can even be said about that. She can't even keep up with that lie anymore, because at this point it's very clear that they've removed bullet fragments and even had to leave some of those things in her foot. So end of the day, she said what she said. She tried to cover up the incident, make it go away, or not say much about it for whatever her reasons. Or she said today that, she just did not want to even talk about it. Number one, it was messy. And then beyond that, it was in the middle of the summer where all kinds of shit was happening. People were protesting, police shootings. Snitching is not something that, is looked upon in a favorable manner. So it's all this stuff going on. So she lies. That's it. She lied. She said that she stepped on glass. So now, sitting through the listening to what has been said, what the defense attorney, and by the way, the defense attorney, Tory Lanez has a defense attorney that is there to really try to establish that there's all kinds of confusion going on. And when I sit back and I listen to it, I have my own opinions, which I'm not going to state here today because that's not the point of, any of this. I think you can draw your own opinions based upon what you hear. And there's clearly confusion. There's an argument. There's people who want to leave, and she wants to leave, and he doesn't want to leave. And it's all this stuff that's going on. And all of that is clear, that there's a lot happening, and all of that is the defense attorney is doing what he can to establish that. But it still boils down to one particular point. And tomorrow, I think it's either tomorrow or the next day, I'm not sure exactly. I just heard in passing from some other people actually in court that tomorrow she is going to, Kelsey, the other young lady who was there in the car, is going to testify as well. And that's going to be very telling, because pretty much the defense attorney is trying to build a case that it's possible that, Kelsey also could have been a shooter, or Kelsey could have been the shooter. That Kelsey could have been a shooter. But, Megan is very clear that once she heard "dance bitch," she turned around and looked quickly and saw Tory Lanez with a gun pointed at her, and that he shot at her feet. She's very clear about that. It hasn't changed. The live that she did a month after the shooting all the way through now, that has been the same statement. In fact, everything they asked her, even in places where she had to be, her mind, it had to be sort of recollect her memory of different things, and where they had to, read statements or whatever, it still all basically comes back to the same point. So either Kelsey's going to say that she shot her tomorrow, right? Either she's going to say that she shot her, or she's going to say that he shot her. Because one thing that, or at least here's my position. I can't see a scenario where she's going to go to court and say, I don't know who shot her, because she's in the car and somebody shot her. That's clear. And they played the shots today. You heard the shots. You heard the whole thing. It was 5 shots. It was the shots happened. The bullet fragments are in her feet, so the shots happened. So either, it's a tight position to be in, because tomorrow, or at least today, and I think throughout this process, and even in the sort of court of public opinion, it's clear to me that the defense's position is that there is some sort of reasonable doubt based upon the fact that Kelsey could be the shooter. So we'll see, how that all happens. And, let me just block a few people. I see folks is agitating, y'all. So at the end, my position, someone said, why did Tamika Mallory go to court today? 2 reasons. Because I felt like it, and I have the right to do whatever it is that I want to do. And nobody's going to intimidate me or make me feel like I can't go. And the second reason is because I know for sure that a black woman was shot. I know that. I read it in the documents. The doctor said it. The surgeon said it. I know a black woman was shot. And to be quite honest with you all, just watching how Megan has been attacked by men on social media has triggered me so much. Even some women, but even that, maybe I'm biased in that, we have our own conflicts between women. But the fact that she has been attacked the way that she has, particularly by some of these men who have major platforms, it has made me feel that I need to make sure that at least whatever comes out, whatever it is, whatever happens, that I'm not afraid to stand by a woman who was shot. And that's it. I'm not afraid to stand by a woman who I know was shot, and she deserves support. There's a lot of people out there who are who have their opinions one way or the other, and I feel that she also deserves to have support because she was shot, and that's it. So I'm not going to sit here and do what I see some other people trying to do, is to tell you, this is going to be the outcome, or this is what I believe, or, I feel will be the outcome. I don't know. But I do know that a woman was shot. There are 3 people that could have shot her. No one is saying that the driver was involved at all whatsoever. Nobody. I've not heard a scenario where the driver is being introduced into the situation as a potential shooter at all. Someone says, what if a woman shot a woman? Is that your stance? Well, evidently that is my stance, because Shanquella Robinson was killed in my judgment, and there was a woman attacking her, and that hasn't stopped me from speaking up for Shanquella Robinson. So whether it's a woman or man, what I know is that a woman was shot. A woman was shot, absolutely shot. And just like we run and tweet and post condolences or support for our brothers, as we should, when they are shot, when they are harmed, when they are killed, she deserves the same thing. She deserves people to support her and stand by her as a woman who was shot, because she is a victim of a shooting. So just the same way that I am willing, I saw the same video you all saw of Shanquella Robinson being beaten, and I didn't sit there and say, well, because of the fact that it was a woman that was beating on her, that I'm not going to go or get involved, and because it's black people, I won't get involved. No, I didn't say that. I have said very clearly, 100%, that I stand with Shanquella's family, and I also stand with Meg Thee Stallion, because I know she was shot. Period. So, when people question why would Tamika Mallory show up and what would make her, because I said so, because I felt like it, because I felt that that's something that I needed to do. And however it goes, whatever happens, I'm there because I know that this black woman who was shot, who is a victim of a shooting, needs to have people around her that are there to tell her it's okay to tell your story. It's okay, that she should not feel that she can't tell her story and what it is that happened to her. So that's it. Did you see the video of the man yelling at her, asking why she's going on? Oh no, I thought she was going to say something else. No, I didn't see that video. I didn't see that video. So that's that on that. You know, I saw something else that was, there was another, sort of narrative that was developing today, and I wanted to make sure that I make sure that you all understand. From what I understand is that what I saw folks trying to say today was that after the shooting, she got back in the car. And that's not what happened, from what I heard. Somebody else who might be here could tell me if I'm bugging, but I know I'm not, but just in case. They were arguing back and forth. There seems to be different types of arguments, but particularly people arguing, Tory arguing with these women. And for the sake of this conversation, because obviously I wasn't there, let's just say that everybody was arguing. I don't know, because I don't care to try to say it was this or that or this or that and the third. Let's just say everybody was arguing. Who at whatever position they were arguing, whatever point they was arguing, everybody was arguing. The car was full of arguments. She got out the car in a thong and in a little thin bathing suit. I guess she jumped in the car, which we've all done, or at least I know I have. Maybe you haven't. But she jumped in the car, didn't have the appropriate covering on her. So as she was out in the street trying to walk away from them, she was not dressed appropriately. It wasn't a good look for pictures, people taking pictures. She's out on the street, she's not dressed appropriately. It's going to make everybody look crazy. It's not a good idea. So she goes and she gets back in the car. And they continue going back and forth. And I'm just, again, for the sake of this, I'm not saying that she said this or that anybody else said it. I'm saying it. This is Tamika Mallory, so that I can help you get past trying to make this about who was arguing. Let's just say she was in a bikini, JD class. So just for the point of this conversation, everybody was having an argument. I'm not going to sit here and try to just tell y'all, well, it was this one, and this one was arguing about this and that and the third. Anybody could have been arguing, whatever. So as this whole thing happens, she gets back in the car. It is after the second time that she gets out the car that the shooting occurs, and she does not get back in the car. She goes over to a driveway and collapses at the driveway and sits there, and she says people came over to her, and then and in fact I'm wrong, because you're right. I mean, whoever was right, somehow or another they did get her back in the car, but it's seconds after they get back in the car, the police arrive and they arrested them. So she does get back in the car. That's right. She does get back in the car. But she's back and forth. They're arguing, and they get back in the car, and then she gets out, she goes over to the driveway, she collapses, and she ends up back in the car. And no one seemed to dispute all of those things. Like that, those things seem to be foundational issues, right? So just hearing what they're saying, no one seems to be disputing that after a shooting, she's in the car, right? So let me see. So who actually heard the gunshots? Well, the gunshots are actually in an audio. Like, it's in an audio. The people, I guess, witnesses heard gunshots. Obviously, she says she heard gunshots, but there's audio. Again, no one is disputing that. No one is disputing that. Were they sober? They have been drinking. They definitely have been drinking. I don't think anybody's disputing that either, but of course we haven't heard from him, so maybe he'll say he wasn't drinking. I don't know. But it seemed that it was clear that people have been drinking. It says thought innocent until proven guilty. I think that is true, that you are innocent until proven guilty. And at this point, they're in the process of figuring out who's guilty and who's not. What are the charges? Yeah, I don't know all the charges. They were arguing outside the car, and people started recording, not knowing what was happening. They didn't really talk about that today. Y'all desperate for it not to be Tory. If Kelsey shot her, she would have said so. Megan had absolutely no gain to say, blah, blah, blah. Video of the clip from that night, exactly. So the clip from that night shows that, I mean, it's clear. You hear audio of a shooting. There's 5 shots. There is, and I mean, I've been saying that since the beginning. That the reality is that the woman got shot. That's a fact. Does her past lives affect her truth? Well, you know what? Let's talk about that, right? Because I think it's fair to discuss that. Here's what I will say. It is not unusual to me to have someone lie, especially when people they are close to are involved with an incident. It is not unusual for people to lie. Like, this is something that victims do often. And in fact, you have you often have situations where people go into the hospital with one story, and then when they're in the hospital, they find out that, or the surgeon or the doctor, somebody who might see a bruise, or they might see something, and you're trying to tell them, well, no, oh, I just fell, and they like, this is not really consistent with a fall. This looks like someone broke your arm or whatever, and then those things unfold and more stuff comes out. That's not unusual. It is something that happens all the time. So that part I'm not concerned about. But I do think that the whole issue of, and I could sit here and say to you, if I wanted to, I could give you all my opinion that is so strong one way or the other, because, we all have our opinions. So I could easily get into this is what I strongly believe, right? But, reason why I'm saying that is because what I think is concerning is the issue around whether or not they actually slept together. I think that's a thing that is going to impact I think a lot of people can accept and deal with the idea that victims lie about abuse or harm that's done to them all the time. But when it comes to did you have sex with him or not, that's a point that is going to impact the way people feel about her state of mind, or why she's not telling the truth about these things, or whether or not she's a liar. Let's just say that. I personally know that there are times, or I'm not even gonna say that. I could say a bunch of stuff, but I'm not gonna do it because I want it to be clear that it's not here. I'm not here to try to make you believe one thing or the other, because I think it's all going to continue to unravel. And the main thing it's not that I'm trying to make you believe, the thing that I want to make sure you know, is that she 100% was shot. And whether she slept with him and 25 other people, she could have slept with the entire police department and the lawyers of America and the rappers of America and everybody. She could have slept with every person in the world. She still was shot. And that ain't cool. That ain't cool. It just ain't cool. And whether or not, she should have just said emphatically, I slept with him and that's it. Me, I'm a different person. And so I probably would have said a bunch of shit that might even get me in even more trouble, because that's just me and run my mouth too much. And I could think of a million reasons why, as a woman, she didn't say it. But the end result, no matter whether she didn't, or this, that, and the third, it is very clear that she did not tell the truth about that. So that's it. But she was shot. So I hear you that she should have said she slept with him, and then this happened, and then y'all want to, not y'all, but people want to go through her entire sex life, whoever she slept with, however she did it up, down, to the left, to the right, with 6 people, with 10 people. She could have slept with anything and anybody y'all want to say in the world. She was shot. That's it. She was shot. And that, I don't know what was going on with this earpiece, but she was shot. Be it intimate, but she said no sex. We're grown. But you know what? I hear it. And what is this? Pre-simus or something like that. I hear you. I hear what you're saying. That, intimate and sex is two different things. I hear you. And we can sit here and argue that, penis and vagina is sex, and then other things fall on the fringes of intimacy. We could say that. But that's actually not what was discussed today. She said herself today that she lied. Period. She said, I didn't even want to talk about the man that I slept with shot me. I didn't even want to talk about it. Embarrassed, this and that. She said all of that. So the bottom line, why this, that, she lied. Period. And that's not unusual, Kenji, to have your character assassinated. Doesn't matter. It matters because it's a motive. Okay, so tell me what's the motive, Akira. I love to hear when you say it's the motive. What does that mean? Like, I'm gonna wait for you to circle back on that. What is the motive? She explained to them why she lied. Hey, Danny D. Right. Because I hear you. I get that what people are trying to say is that, well, if she slept with, I don't even know. Matter of fact, I don't hear you. I want to know when you say that she, it's motive. What's the motive? It's not. The point of the matter is, she slept with him, and she could have slept with 50 other people the same night, but she got shot. She got shot. So she lied for 2 years, lied to the detectives, the prosecutors, the fans, and everyone. Yes, that's what she said. She lied about it. Never wanted to tell anybody. That's what she said. She said that. I'm not saying that. The motive is to distract everyone from the fact that she was shot. Well, I mean, that's what I'm trying to say. The word motive sounds crazy. No one deserves to get shot. She'll live with that trauma forever. I mean, hey, Jonathan. I mean, that's the point. That's my point. Is that whatever you want to say about her, whether or not she was the biggest whore that ever existed, she was the bigger whore than any whore that's ever lived. She got shot. She got shot. And I think that's where the defense attorneys, they have some issues. Is trying to deal with that particular issue right there. Is she got shot. But was she shot by Tory? So I said already, issue to your question. She says Tory shot her, right? That's her position. Tory shot her. She saw him with the gun. She knows he shot her. She says that, right? And there's a whole bunch of other stuff, calls and this and that. She says he shot her 100%. That's what she says. Kelsey, by the way, her friend, texts the management team in the moment that this is all going on. This is all in the same, I'm going to say, an hour. She texted them and said, Tory shot Meg, right? So, and by the way, somewhere I heard that he wrote on social media, somewhere I heard this, you all can correct me if I'm wrong, that when people were trying to say Kelsey shot her, he said that she didn't. So the bottom line is that Kelsey has to testify at some point. And when she did, and when she does, knowing that they are trying to back her into a corner where she looks like the possible shooter, the question is going to be, what is she going to say? You know? So this is going to be, that's it. He did say Kelsey did not shot her or whatever on the shade room. I got it, right? So that's what he said. He said she didn't do it. She didn't shoot her. And she texted the management team or some person and said, Tory shot Meg. And Megan says she saw him shoot her. So if that story is not true, don't think for 1 minute that these people are not going to drill down and force folks to testify to who did shoot her. Now, it's not the defense's responsibility to prove it, even though it's in their best interest to do as best as possible to make a case outside of their client. But their job is really just to make people be like, I don't know. I doubt very seriously that this is possible. So that's what it's going to come down to. Gunpowder was on. I've been saying that since the beginning. That was in the report. That was in the report. Who is the gun registered to? Well, I never found anything that answers that question. But I was told on a live that I did one day with this other person, like a blogger or something like that, or it might have been a reporter, blogger, whatever. I was told that, let me see, somebody said something here. Let me see, who was it? Right. So I never, I didn't see what. I don't know who the gun was registered to, but I know I was on a live in a conversation one day with a woman that I think is a blogger. Pretty sure she's a blogger, and she's obviously been following this very closely. And I was saying that it was something about it not being a registered gun or something, and I was completely wrong, and I think I was corrected. And please forgive me if I'm wrong now, but I think I was corrected in that conversation that it was registered, that it wasn't like a unregistered gun. So the gun is Megan's. Oh, okay, wonderful. I have that, the text, the calls, the testimony. Reasonable doubt by creating a false narrative. Let me see what else y'all saying before I have to go. Well, I'm so glad you brought that up, DRAT850, because you say people were quick to jump to Meg's side at the beginning when we didn't have the full story. Then Tory got gag order, but Meg could talk. So to me, that was fishy. I don't know, and there may be some legal folks in these, and I've heard this over and over again, and there may be some legal folks that are in this live, but I don't know, when did the victim have a gag order? I know that there are some situations where they put a gag order on all parties to deal with, certain cases, but when you are the victim of a shooting, I'm not saying, that's like saying that victims of police brutality that we work with every day are not able to speak about them being victimized. Like, y'all help me understand that, because I don't. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm completely crazy and completely bugged out. But help me understand, why would the person who has actually been victimized have to be under a gag order? Help me. Like, y'all explain it to me, because I am lost. I saw people today talking about she started crying as soon as she started talking. Yeah, that's what you do when you have been shot, and that's, nobody's disputing that. When you've been shot and you come to court for the first time, you in front of everybody, you done been all tense and stressed and everything else, and you've been shot, and now you know that people are about to question you as if you're the shooter of yourself, and like you shot the other individual who is being accused of it. You will cry. Like, I'm confused. I'm confused. I am confused as to why y'all think that the person who's a victim is supposed to be under a gag order. What are you talking about? Like, I'm confused, y'all. The victim can say what happened to them. The victim is able to speak. The victim is able to say, this happened to me. This is what victims do. We see victims speaking all the time. And there may come a point to a trial where the judge may say, but again, in a trial, the judge may say, we want all parties involved in this case to be under a gag order for different reasons. But I don't know when that happens with actual victims who were shot. I'm confused. I'm so confused. I just want to see. I don't want to see, by the way. I'm saying this to make my point, but I don't want to see anybody be shot. But I would really like to know from your mindset, when you show up at court and you've been shot, you are a victim, and nobody is disputing that you have actually been shot, and you sit up in a courtroom after 3 years or almost 3 years of an incident happening. You done been through all of this different stuff throughout that, the online stuff, the court stuff, just all these things, and you sit in the seat and people start asking you questions like, do you know the person who in this room, this person, do you know their name, this and that, and you start crying and people think that something is weird about that? Like, I can go with you to why was they fighting? I could go with you to, is Meg, did she lie about this thing? I could go with you to all of this stuff if you want to go into a world where we're imagining all the things. But it be some shit that y'all be saying that I just cannot get with. I can't understand it. Why the hell would the person who's been shot be on a gag order? Why? And someone is still asking, was she shot or did she step on glass? And I'm going to say it again. She was shot. Someone else says, let's go into that then. Yes, she lied. She lied at least on 2 things that we know for sure. But she was shot. And no one is disputing it. No one brought up glass except to say that you lied about this before. No one brought up glass. The defense attorneys didn't sit there and try to talk about glass. It is very clear that there was bullet fragments in both of her feet. Period. She was shot. Let's see.